Oh, recording's in progress. I don't know if you heard that. So here we go. We're starting.
Okay.
Okay, thank you folks so much for joining us today. I am with an incredible person that I spent a lot of time with years ago training, Dr. Julianna Batizy. Julie, thank you so much for coming and spending time with us here. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
It's an absolute honor. I'm gonna preface this with letting you know that Julie is one of the, if not the toughest athlete I've ever trained. She's an amazing, I'm gonna embarrass her with this, but I'll tell you a story down the road here with it. She is phenomenally tough human being. And it's been, like I said, my honor to have trained her and worked with her. And Julie, let's find out a little bit about your whole experience in swimming, because what we're trying to do is bring to the clarity of what swimming does for the community members. And if I'm right, just before we get too far started here, every community member to us is valuable and important. You and I have been in this for life, pretty much, right?
Exactly.
And it's not about who's the fastest. It's about every single one of our community members being really important to us. It's a fantastic community. And they have heroes like you in here that can, that have done some incredible, amazing things that we'll find out about. And they're all part of those achievements that are happening, right? So let's find out a little bit about what started you off in swimming.
Well, that's pretty easy. It came from my father's family. My dad was one of 14 and was an immigrant. And so my grandfather put all of the kids into swimming. My dad went on to swim for University of Alabama and then carried on the tradition with me and my siblings. And I actually carried it on with my kids as well.
Got
So
it. So it
really
goes all the way through, right?
family lifestyle.
And we're going to be interviewing your dad coming up. You're a doctor. He's a doctor, right? You've got amazing, right? The whole family, I think it seems like.
I
But
seem to follow in his footsteps on more than one, in
right.
more than one area.
Got it. And he's going to tell us about the story of your family. I read the book, and I got to tell you something, folks. If you ever get a chance to read this book, it came originally. The family came from Hungary. Is that right?
Hungary in 1956 during the revolution.
And you got to hear about this, because although I think that The Sound of Music is an amazing story, I got a feeling they've got major competition with your story. It's incredible, really incredible. Just the way, I think it was your grandfather dove out of right off the bridge or something like this to get away. Unbelievable. You got to see this, folks. Unbelievable. And you're in the book. Amazing. So, all right. So we got to go from there. So anyway, so that's how you got started swimming. Tell us a little bit about the highlights of your swimming, because it didn't end just with swimming even, right? You went on to be a professional triathlete. Go ahead.
Right. So, gosh, when I think about the highlights of my swimming, it's like there's these different categories of time. When I stopped swimming competitively initially, um, it was not a planned thing. I swam through high school. My senior year in high school was one of the highlights for me. You were my coach.
Oh.
It was the great coaching. I had PRs in the 200 and 500 free, and in the 400 free relay, we were all American. And not only for my individual accomplishment, but the really cool thing was that our team accomplished things that the girls team had never accomplished before. And that was sort of my first taste of what it was like to be a part of something bigger than just your own accomplishments. And then that following summer, I did PRs in my events and broke a minute in the 100 free long course for the first time, which was thrilling for me. But then I started at Ohio State for undergrad and realized shortly into my freshman year that my goal of wanting to be a doctor wasn't gonna jive really well with swimming in that setting. So
That can conflict, right?
yeah, so it was hard because I wasn't finished with swimming yet, which is where I'm going with that. I quit, but I wasn't done with swimming yet. And then fast forward, I went through undergrad, med school, and residency. And during residency, after the birth of my second daughter, wanted to get back in to being fit, and swimming was kind of calling to me. And I had always stayed in the pool through all of this, just kind of on my own, but not in a formal coach setting and no competition. So I started doing open water swimming and competing in open water swimming in some masters, 1 mile and 3 mile races, and then set a goal to do a 10K open water swim. And that's really how I ended up racing as a pro triathlete. The person that was helping me coach me for my 10K swim, who is now my husband, he came to watch me, and I had signed up just for a little local triathlon for fun, and he felt that I showed some potential in triathlon. So swimming was my segue into being a pro triathlete, which I enjoyed while I did. And now with all a series of health problems, I don't do triathlon as much, but I still do aquathon, which is swim run. And in fact, we'll be going to world championships for age group later this year for that.
Why do you get such a serious face on when you say we're going?
Well, it's for fun, but
right. Wow. So one of the things that I recall the most was a story about, as I mentioned, you being one of the toughest individuals, and I've worked with a lot of Navy SEALs and things like this, and I don't know if those guys are at that same level as you. Honestly, you are so tough. But I remember this. I remember you were swimming in the pool one day, and it was cold out, as it gets in Akron, Ohio sometimes. And you walked out, and I remember the kids came running back in and said, Julie fell down in the parking lot. They thought that you'd broken your arm, which you had, right? So you had broken your arm, and folks, this is amazing. So I'm thinking she's out for, months here. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's going to be really tough for her. Nope, she came in that evening, big smile on her face, with a cast on her arm that her dad had put on her arm, because you're both emergency room doctors, right? And you didn't miss a workout. I've never seen anything like that. I couldn't believe, like, at least take 5 minutes. No, I'm ready to go. Big smile. It was very odd swimming that way. As I remember, you said, you lose your feel for the water on that arm. But I don't know if I've been any more proud of one of my swimmers doing that. Just unbelievable.
And it was before the Gore-Tex cast, so I would sit in the locker room and dry it with a hair dryer.
Right. What went through your mind to say, I'm coming back this evening?
Because my season was off to a good start, and I did not want to get behind.
Oh my gosh. Funny. So was that your senior year or your junior year?
That was my junior year.
Right. And that wasn't a great season for you, as I remember.
No, because then I got my cast off right before district and state championships, and my muscle had atrophied so much in my forearm that my stroke was just a disaster. And it took that whole summer after that season of you helping me to get my technique back. So.
Wow. Absolutely amazing. So yeah, my hat has always been off to you, and I've told thousands and thousands of people that story. And yeah, just, I think when you have the honor of working with athletes like yourself, you learn so much as a coach, the heart that people have and the passion they have for what they're doing. And you've always been passionate about anything that you're doing. I always, you put in 110% no matter what. And so I would say that have anybody that has you as a doctor has no idea who's standing next to them.
You're gonna make me cry. So don't, no more accolades. I'm going to cry.
But so let's talk about, just phenomenal stuff. Tell us about, where your swimming journey led you in regards to your career, and how it impacts the way you work now and what you do.
Well, swimming, and I've said this to both of my daughters swam age group through college. And when they were done with their careers, I wrote their coaches letters, because what I found for myself and what I observed for my kids is that swimming is about so much more than the sport. I mean, yes, there's the sport and the competition, and of course I pour myself into that when I do it. But the lessons that you learn about, how much you have to give, how deep you can go, how strong you can be, learning, like I alluded to earlier, about how your individual accomplishment can be part of something greater and help a team achieve a goal that's beyond you. And I think one of the biggest things was learning how to fail, learning how to process failure, how to not let that define you and use it to inspire you to go on and do something more. And, medical school and residency were challenging. And to make it more challenging, I had my babies, one in med school and one in residency. It was tough, but I was armed with years of swimming. And I tell my one daughter is about to head off to med school, and I tell her, medical school is like Christmas break swim practice. The best of times, it's the worst of times, and you will bond in ways that you never knew you could with the people that you go through it with. And I really feel that swimming gave me a concept of how to push through things and persevere. And that's the biggest gift that I've gotten from it.
And I think if I'm right, beyond that, your dad has a lot, and I don't know your mom as well. I think I've met her a few times, but your dad was, coaching with us and helping our team out so much, and I learned so much from him as well. He seems like everyone's mentor.
He was in medicine too, so I don't know. He's just got sage advice.
Who he is, right?
Yeah. The lesson I've learned from my dad that I also learned from swimming is the only way around is through. So that's sort of my life mantra. No matter how hard things get, you just have to push your way through it. And I carry that with me, and have with all my health issues too. So.
And I know John Burnstead, who was a teammate of yours and was also one of the tougher people I've ever trained, just right. And absolutely an incredibly tough person who also mentored under your dad, as echoed the same exact thing about, how much your dad impacted his life. And right, your dad has had major impacts on everyone's life. And I see you doing that same thing. So I want to thank you for all you do. So I don't even know if I should ask this question, but I'm going to anyway, because you kind of answered it a lot already. But let me ask it anyway. What does swimming mean to you?
Oh gosh. Swimming is, again, about so much more than the sport, and it's an integral part of my life. It is memories of vacations with my dad where we would just go swim from pier to pier. It was growing up on a team where my best friends and my second family were my people. It is a way to have health and wellness as an adult. It's a way to push myself more than to learn what the limits are of pushing myself. I tell people now in my adult life, it's my Prozac. That's where I go to deal with my stress and if something's stressing me out, it's my time to be in my own mind and work through things. And it's just been such a gift in my life. And I pass that gift on to my kids, I hope.
It was, I think for me, it was a family that was outside my, like you said, outside my normal family. It was a family because I traveled a lot. I was a military brat. And so everywhere I moved, I'd have that family set up right there, and you connected right away. People were about the same things that you were about, right? The guidance was very similar as to, the instruction and things like that. And the coaches were really there trying to help you become stronger individuals, stronger people.
Yes.
It wasn't just about who's the fastest out there, right?
No, it really isn't. That's the thing. I tried to convey that to my daughter's coaches when they were at the end of their careers, that the gift they gave my kids
Mhm.
was about so much more than swimming. And not to take away from swimming, because it's a great sport,
Mhm.
but the gifts that you get from it are so beyond the water itself.
Right, right, absolutely. Um, so we're gonna just take a real quick move over, and I'm gonna share screen on something here. And I wanted to see what your opinions are of this information here. Give me just 1 second. Let's see here. And I think I closed that already, so I will reopen it. There we go. Okay. And so I want to show everybody, our audience, something, and then we'll talk about it in just a moment. Here we go. Okay, so this tells us a little bit about what fluid mechanics does for the swimming community. And generally there's 4 layers that we see in the swimming community. Number one is you have your scientists and absolute experts in that area. And then you have interpreters. And what an interpreter does is it takes that. Sometimes the scientists don't necessarily explain it so that you can understand it well enough to use it. And what we try to do is take that information, excuse me, and make it available so people can actually, use it on the deck with a coach or in the water with a swimmer. So we don't actually do the research. Our job is something different, is to take that research, sift through it, right? Find the things that we think are going to be really, really important and deliver it to the coaches in an understandable, usable fashion. So we tend to deliver, we're a visual interpreter. So we put in, that's why we have our avatars, things like that. So we can easily see what we're trying to do. The coaches are limited by their, the amount of time they have, because they're spending so much time with the kids and the team trying to work that. And then they need clarifications of the new ideas. They don't have time to sift through everything, try to understand it. What should I apply? What shouldn't I? So more delivered in a package that they can easily use. And then, how to implement these. How do I put this in my practice? And so they're on the deck delivering those workouts. And then we deliver them to the coaches, and we deliver them directly in the water to the swimmers. And so we work one-on-one with swimmers to help them understand how to use these. And we do it normally in a very unique way, so you can see it and do it. And they say if a picture is worth 1,000 words, then what's a movie worth?
Right.
Right. So that we try to help understand very important information quickly. So these are the cornerstones of athletic performance, and fluid mechanics uses all these cornerstones, and we'll explain what they are. But these are the major factors that impact your performance. So number one would be this green girl over here, which are fuels: sleep, hydration, nutrition, and oxygen. Those are the consumables, and those consumables flow through one of the 3 energy systems. And so they convert, let's say that's the strawberry you ate yesterday, right, is now converted into either something that's usable for endurance, right? Energy for endurance, speed, or explosive activities. Explosive meaning you jumping out of the way of an oncoming bus, you need an explosive system. We use that for starts and turns, and having a kind of an overriding energy burst at the end of the race, what they call a kick at the end of the race. And that energy is delivered to the muscle. The muscle contracts around the bones, right? And around the skeletal system motion, which is what's called technique, how you move your bones. And the bones get you to where you want to go. And the whole question is, do you know where you want to go and how to get there? And that's the mind, right? And synergy is how you pull it all together. So synergy, one form of synergy would be racing, right? Another form of synergy might be, so you're pulling it all together, converting your racing into college and a college swimming career. Now you've done all of that, and you've been on all these levels, and you've had to use all these different things. So my question to you here is, if you're kind of stack ranking and trying to say, what's going to be the most important factor Where do you lie on that in regards to these cornerstones? What would be important to you?
For me, I would say the mind. Of course, disclaimer, they're all important. And obviously, without fuel, the mind is no good. But I think your mind is the limiting factor for everything. And there's all these layers to the mental state with performance. It's sometimes your mind can actually hold you back because you're so excited and nervous that you freak out before the race and don't perform well. Sometimes your mind isn't looking at a goal in a realistic way, or sometimes your mind is holding you back by being too realistic and not letting yourself challenge outside of what you think are your limits. Um, my
So
mind,
mental aspects would be both in training, if I'm right, as well as in racing.
yes, yes.
Interesting.
I mean,
So one of our programs that we've developed very heavily is called MindWorks. And it's really how your mind works, right? And understanding, because a lot of times programs don't offer mental training programs, right? And a lot of them say, oh, it's 90% mental, and they don't have any tools to use, or
mhm,
very limited number of tools to use on how to help somebody's mind and train their mind. And one of our clients said the other day, he's like, that allows the coach to know the athlete better, and
mhm,
it allows the athlete to know themselves better.
yeah,
And these are really important factors, because you connect on an emotional, with this program we have, you connect on an emotional standpoint. And since human beings are very emotionally based, right? Our
yes.
logic is fantastic, but our emotion is the power behind what we do and why we do what we do. And so that has that. It has the ability to help people focus better, the ability to help you uh, basically harness your emotion and use it to help you, versus do nothing for you or even fight against you. And if you've ever been an athlete, it can do all that. And if it's that powerful, right?
Yeah.
And then also it's got this section on progress and how to progress faster, to understand how to progress. So if you could have a program that helped you focus better, whether it's in being a doctor, whether it's in the military, whether it's in swimming, right? But if it could help you focus better, help you harness your emotion to help you, and help you progress faster, how important would that be?
Very important. I mean, it's interesting that you bring that up because mindfulness, there's a real focus on mindfulness now and mindfulness meditation. And working in the emergency department, where we get, these critical moments in time where seconds matter, learning to harness your emotion and be focused is very important, and it's hard. So I think this is awesome. It's very important.
Yeah, I remember I was in the emergency room about a year and a half ago, which I told you about, and had a pretty bad heart attack. And I can't imagine if I got in there and you were the doctor. I would have had a giant smile on my face.
I would have been very stressed out because I would have been
I'd have to calm you while you're helping me.
no one wants to take care of their mentor in an ER.
Right, right. You'd probably be poking fun of me though.
I think so.
Well, get tough, right?
Yeah,
Very
you're not really having a heart attack. Your mind
right.
is making you think you are.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to be just fine. So we went in and earlier and we talked about our fast track tools. And we saw some of the calculators, things like that. What did you see in there that you felt like would help an athlete?
Oh, there were so many things that were amazing. I especially liked the tool, and now I'm escaping my mind what it's called, but the tool where you could break down,
The race map.
yeah, set a goal and then break it down with reaction time and turn time and cycles. And the example that you showed to me made me realize that things that I thought were impossible actually are doable if you break it down into little increments of achievable things.
Yeah.
So That's
It's
awesome.
funny how, right, and that we call the game changer, this race map. And the reason why, and this is a funny thing, right, to kind of tie this into our conversation, the reason why it's a game changer is what you feel changes what you can do,
Yeah,
right? And when you see that it's only just a tiny bit, right, on your cycle rate, that
right.
changes everything for you. And know exactly what to work on, and to know that you can use those tempo trainers to stay on track and get you on track and stay on track,
Yeah.
right? It makes all the difference in how you feel, and that emotional energy. If folks, if you haven't watched this yet, go on our website at fluidmechanics.net, click on resources, and there's FINA presentations in there, and the FINA presentations were wonderful. There's 4 of them, and FINA helped us so much. But go in and watch. There's I think all 4 of them are very unique and different. But watch the MindWorks one on harnessing emotion. Another one that's really great in there is the feel for the water. And then we also did the race mapping tool, and also the dimensions. And they really make you look at swimming very differently. And it's free. Go in there. We want to bring this to the community so they can really understand. And what we did with those tools, they're normally about $2,000 worth of tools. They're like what is it, like $129 for a year. And the reason why is we wanted to make sure that everybody around the world can use them. For us, it makes all the difference in how you feel when you have that control. You don't have to wait for your coach to do it. You can help yourself. That makes a big difference. I wish I had those tools back when you were swimming.
Me too.
I wish I had those tools when I was swimming. Makes a big difference. So just because I could talk to you forever. I just love talking with you, Julie. But what message do you have for our younger community members that are kind of traveling along the swimming pathway, and some of them that are succeeding fantastically, some of them that aren't so much? What message do you have for them?
Well, I mean, again, going back to what I said earlier, you're going to find when you look back on your swimming career that the gifts that you got from it are beyond what you're doing in the pool. Having said that, to those of you that are in a plateau or not feeling good about where you're at, just keep going, because every swimmer plateaus, and if you work through it, you'll end up in a place that you're happy and achieve a goal that you didn't know was just around the corner. I think a mistake that a lot of especially as they get into early adolescent, that a lot of swimmers make is they give up when they're just around the corner from, you know, meeting that next
A
barrier.
successful step, right?
Yeah, yeah. And to those that are doing well, keep going and enjoy it, and realize that you're getting a lot more out of it than just the swimming.
Our this will be on our FM Discovery Center, this video, and we're also be in social media, things like that. But just what you're saying, inside the FM Discovery Center, which is unbelievably incredible in my opinion, and I'll tell you why in a second. But it's a platform, a world platform for people like Julie. We invite them, once they've done their interview here, the FM influencer interview. We invite them to put in tidbits of information that they have. And so what's happening is, because we've done so many interviews and we're doing lots and lots more coming up. I think I'm doing like 12 or 15 next week. So right. And when we bring people in to do them, they're such incredible people. So you have information that you want to share with the community, back with the community. You're allowed to do that almost any time. And so you can imagine the amounts of information that are coming in. It goes through our content director to make sure that the quality of information, they edit it and launch it out on social media. And then it resides in this discovery center. One of the things that's in there right now explains plateaus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so it's really fantastic. It explains just what you're saying. Everybody that ever gets really good ends up hitting a plateau. And the question is, do you take the next steps, and do you know how to change to make things better for yourself? So it's a really, and there's all kinds of information on there about the brain, strength, energy systems like in-water training, right? Fuels, sleep, hydration, all that. And so, and also technique. And so people like Julie, with this incredible base of knowledge, are, if they only contribute like once or twice a year, it's just you put it on your iPad and you send it in, right? And then we format it. We have, and you're joining this huge group of people. We feel like there's too much, where people aren't allowed to say, what they need. There's so much valuable information that people contribute. And so we want to open that up to everybody that, has great information. Yeah. And we're checking the quality, just not anybody, right? Checking the quality, make sure it's good. But yeah. So thank you so much for joining us, Julie. This has just been wonderful, and spending some time like this with you again. Thank you.
That was nice. Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure.